What is good, everybody? It is South Bay Chris, and I'm back at you guys with another haircut tutorial. And today we are going to be doing a comb over with a low drop fade, and we're also going to be doing some scissor work on top. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to do that. And now let's get into it, guys. So the first thing we are doing is we are wetting the hair with our spray water bottle, and we're kind of just like wetting it so we can kind of, because it's a little messy right now, you know, when clients come in with like bed head or like they got a hat on or something, their hair's gonna be a little bit messy. So you want to wet the hair in the beginning to kind of just get an idea of like where the hair lays down in the right directions, kind of comb everything out, lay all the hairs out nice and neat. And as you guys can see, I'm kind of separating, you know, the top from the sides, just so the top isn't in our way and we don't end up cutting that or anything like that. And the next thing we are going to do is we're going to put clips on the top of our hair, right there above that part, just so we could separate, like I said, we could separate that top of the hair from the sides, and that way it doesn't get in our way. And now right here, this is the calic region. So that right here, the calic is where the hair grows. Everybody has one. It's where the hair grows in a 360 direction. So it grows in all different directions. Now back here specifically with comb overs, you want to be really careful. And as you guys can see, we wet the hair, and then you're going to comb the hair in the direction that it lays naturally. So as you can see, I have arrows going up, I have arrows going to the side, I have arrows going down. That's where those hairs want to lay naturally. So that's the direction we're gonna let it lay by wetting it and kind of combing it in that direction. And if you don't do this, it's gonna look real funny back there. There's gonna be hair standing up, it's gonna be all like spiky, or it's just not gonna lay nice, you know. And now right here, we're going in with our gamma trimmers, and this is the hitter, and we're going in, we're kind of just taking off that beard, balding everything out. We're about to put in our bald guideline as well. So right here for the low drop fade, we are starting our guideline kind of towards the bottom of the hook, and we're going right above the ear, as you guys can see right there, and then we are dropping it towards the back. And this is gonna be a low drop fade. That is why we are dropping it in the back. And as you guys can see now, everything under that bald guideline that I put in, I am balding out. I'm just going up and down with my trimmer, just going over it multiple times just to make sure that every single hair is cut. Whenever you're cutting, you want to go over the same spot multiple times to make sure that every hair is cut and everything is nice and even and nice and cut right. And now right here, we're going back in with the top of our hair, and we're spraying the water on the other side, and we're gonna get those bangs out the way just so we can work with the other side. You want to do this with comb overs especially, because you don't want to accidentally cut some of those long hairs on top that we don't want to cut those. So right here, like those hairs that you guys see right there, I'm putting a clip in. As you guys can see, those arrows, there's hair going up and there's hair going down. So right there, you wet it, you comb the hairs that go up, you comb the hairs that go down, that want to lay down, and then you put the clip on the top so that the top is separated from the sides. And now that we have like our top separated from our sides, it's gonna be a lot easier to work with. And this just makes sure that we don't cut those hairs, because I know in the beginning, when I first was learning, I used to cut those hairs a lot, like with comb overs. And now right here, you want to stand in front of your client, and we're gonna put in our bald guideline on the other side. So stand in front of your client and just see where you put in that initial bald guideline on one side, and then match it up on the other side, just to make sure that our fade comes out nice and even, nice and neat, and it's not like a lopsided fade. One side is higher than the other. And right here, we are back in the back, and we're just gonna connect the bald guideline on that side to the initial bald guideline that we put on this side. Now we are balding it out again, just going up and down with the trimmer, making sure to clear all that bulk. These hitters are really good for clearing bulk and balding out, and yeah, they put in work. And right here, we're kind of you want to make sure that your guidelines are nice and neat, and just make sure that all the lines are straight. Now we're getting rid of the beard on the other side, balding all that out. He leaves like his goatee connected right there with the mustache, so that's what we're gonna leave. And now right here, we're gonna go in with our shaver just to bald everything down to skin, because the trimmer leaves it at a stubble, the shaver will bring it down to skin. And with the shaver, we are going to flick out about 1/2 inch to 1 inch below that bald line that we created. So you flick out like this. You're gonna go straight up with the shaver, and then you're gonna pull out and flick out. Straight up, pull out. You don't go all the way to the top of that bald guideline. The reason for that is because it's gonna create a very hard line that is gonna be very hard to take out, and we don't want that problem. So that is why we flick out like right before reaching the top of that line, so we don't give ourselves a harsh like skin line. And so right here we're right on the back, and we're just going over the entire area, making sure to bald it all out down to skin. And in the back of the neck where I was at right there, make sure to go in different directions, because the hair does grow in different directions right there. And now right here we're gonna go in with our 1.5 guard, and this is on our wall magic clip. So this is the 1.5 guard, and what we are creating right here is the base, basically the foundation of our haircut. This is gonna create like our shape, but this is the base of our haircut. And as you guys see this yellow line right here, this is pretty much the shape that I created that 1.5 guard base with. So that yellow line, you want to kind of follow that shape. We dropped it towards the back, but that yellow line is pretty much about how high I went with the 1.5. You don't want to go any higher than that yellow line. And now right here, as you can see, we left those long hairs right there, and I have the arrows going down because the hairs are growing down, but we're leaving those a little long. We're gonna blend that in with our clipper over comb from the 1.5, and then we're gonna blend that in, and it's gonna give us a nice squared shape. But you want to make sure to leave these long. What a lot of barbers tend to do sometimes is they'll go in with like a 1 or 2 all the way to the top, and we don't want to do that, because we want to have a nice shape and a nice structure. Just overall it looks way better when you leave those hairs longer. So right here we are going back in with our 1.5, still creating our base, and right here in the back, making sure to drop it, and like on the sides, don't go too high with this 1.5 guard in the back as well. We're leaving some of those hairs long. And now same thing on the other side, we're going in and creating our base still in the same shape and same way that we did on the other side, making sure that everything is even and symmetrical. And now right here we're gonna go in and we're gonna create basically our first guideline. This is with the lever open on the wall magic clip. There is no guard. This is the lever open, and we're creating that first guideline. The size is considered a half, or it's basically the lever open with no guard. Blade, lever open, and then size this is the half. So we're creating our first guideline, and making sure to keep it consistent with the shape that we created our bald guideline with. And same thing on the other side, still creating that guideline with lever open, no guard, it's just the blade, the lever is open. And now we're connecting it with the other side, connecting it down the back, making sure, like I said, making sure to keep the shape of the guidelines in the same shape as the first bald guideline. And just going over the guideline multiple times, that way we make sure that everything is nice and evenly cut. Now we're gonna go in with our clipper over comb, and this clipper over comb is equivalent. This comb is equivalent to the 1.5 guard open. It'll blend right into that. It's basically the same length. And right here, I'm showing you the motions of how to hold it. You don't want to hold it in like that. You want to go straight up with the comb, as I'm doing right there. Straight up. That's what you want to do. And then we're just gonna. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna swipe, 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 swipe with the comb held straight up. And what that's gonna do is basically cut all the hair that's hanging off of the comb and blend into that 1.5 guard, that base that we created. So as you guys can see, I'm holding it straight up. I'm just swiping, making sure to hold the comb straight up. By holding it straight up, what this is gonna do is this is gonna create a nice squared shape. If we hold it in, it's gonna mess up the shape of the head. His head won't have a nice squared shape, and we don't want that. So as you guys can see, I'm going straight up. That's the way how you want to hold the comb. Straight up, bam, swipe. You do not want to do that. That would be way too much hair. Just like that. Just like that. As you guys can see, thumbs up. Nope. As you guys can see, don't do that. Don't hold it too in. You want to just go straight up. Alright. As long as you're holding the comb straight up, it'll come out nice. And you start by bringing the comb from under that line that was created with the 1.5. You start under there, and you just bring it straight up, and then you cut everything that hangs off. So you basically go over the same spots multiple times as well, and you keep going in there, holding the comb straight up until there is no more hairs hanging off of that comb. Then you're good. Then we move on. Then you move on to another spot. But basically, you don't want any hairs hanging off the comb when it's held straight up. Everything hanging off when it's held straight up, that means it needs to be cut. And now we're going to blend the other side. And same thing, just making sure to hold the comb straight up. And this comb blends right into that 1.5 guard open. And remember how I was talking about earlier, how we were leaving those longer hairs right here on this side so we could be able to comb them down and it'll give a nice squared shape. Well, this is what this is how you kind of blend into it with the clipper over comb. So from our 1.5 guard, we're using this comb to blend everything. Blend from the 1.5 guard to the longer hairs, and making sure to hold the comb straight up, and then you swipe and cut. And you don't have to, you could go straight up and down as well, and you could kind of play with that line. Just make sure to hold the comb straight up and you'll be good. That's gonna leave a nice squared shape on the head. And if I do sound a little repetitive, I want to repeat things so it embeds in your guys' heads even more. The more I repeat it, the better, because the more you hear it, the more it's going to stick in your brain. And now right here, we are doing the same thing. We are holding the comb straight up, making sure to not dig in too much with the comb. As you guys see right here, I'm holding it straight up and blending into those longer hairs. And right here, you do not want to do this. Don't dig in too much with the comb like that, because that's going to cut way too much hair. And we want to leave those hairs longer and laying down right there, because that is the cowlick region. And if you cut it too short right there, the hairs are going to spike up and it's not going to look right. And then it's going to be hard for him to style and it's just not going to look good. So we want to make sure that everything looks as best as possible. And the hair could just become so much easier too when you don't have that problem with the cowlick. And now right here, we are going to blend out that first guideline which we created with the lever open. And now we're going to blend it out by closing the lever little by little, a total of 4 times. And we're going to fade that line out like this. So as you guys see the line right here in my fingers, pretend that's the line we're fading out. We hold the blade flat on the skin, and then we're going straight up, passing the line, and then we flick out. Straight up, past the line, flick out. That's how you fade. You do not dig in like that. To fade, you don't dig into the line like that. You hold the blade flat, go straight up, past the line, and flick out. And as you guys can see right here, I'm closing the lever once, and we are passing that line and flicking out. So as you guys can see, now I'm going to close the lever again, passing that line and flicking out. So as you guys can see right here, passing the line, flick out, pass the line, flick out. Bam. That is the motion that we are doing to fade. And now we're closing it again. So this is the second time we've closed the lever. We're in the middle now, and same thing, still passing that line and flicking out. And you can kind of use the corners of your blade like to get around that ear to slope it a little bit, but like right here I'm kind of using a certain corner of the blade. You don't have to use the full blade to fade. If you need to, like especially with a drop fade, you're gonna have to use the corners a little bit, and making sure to pass that line and flick out. And now we're closing the lever again, so this is our 3rd time closing it. Same thing, passing the line and flicking out. And as you guys can see, that guideline is starting to fade out. Almost gone. It's almost faded. That line from the trimmer into the half is now fading out. And we close the lever one more time, and this is what's going to completely fade it out. And this is a fade blade on the clipper, so 0 gap, the blade gets very close. It'll take out that bald line from the trimmer like nothing. And same thing, we're still passing the line and just flicking out. And now right here, we're going back in with our 1.5 guard open, and we're kind of just cleaning up the line that we created earlier. We're kind of just cleaning up the clipper over comb area, just like kind of going in, just cleaning everything up, flicking out a little bit on any little lines or dark spots that we may see that were created earlier. As you guys can see, I'm kind of showing right there. Sometimes you can't get the line out fully with the clipper over comb, so we have to kind of go back in and flick out with the lever open on the 1.5. And then we close that lever like you guys just saw, and now we're gonna take out that middle line. Use that part of the guard to your advantage to help you flick out. As you guys can see, I'm doing right there. That's the motion that we're doing. So that middle line that you see right there, that's the line that we are now flicking out. And now we're gonna, from the 1.5 closed, we're gonna go down into, we're gonna fade down into the 1 guard, and the 1 guard is open right here. And the line that I'm taking out, that's the line that we are taking out. Making sure to flick out. From the 1 guard open, we're blending into that 1.5 guard closed. Making sure to pass the line and flick out. And then with this 1 guard, we're gonna close it twice. We're gonna close it in the middle, and then we're gonna close it fully closed. So as you guys can see, pretend that's the line. You pass the line, flick out. Pass the line, flick out. Use that part of the guard to help you flick out. It's gonna assist you. And as you can see right there, I close the lever in the middle. And now same thing, we go right under where we just left off with that 1 guard open. Now we're at the 1 guard in the middle, and just passing that line and flicking out. And now we close the 1 guard all the way. So from the 1 guard in the middle, now we've closed the lever all the way. And same thing, we're right under where we just left off. We're passing that line and flicking out. Now we have our half guard. And with the half guard, we have to fade by closing the lever little by little, because it is a shorter length, so we have to go little by little. So we're gonna close it a total of 4 or 5 times again. Pretend there were notches on the side of the clipper. If you have a master, then you would just close it notch by notch. And same thing, so we have the lever is open. We're flicking out little by little. Now we close the lever 1 time, and same thing, passing that line and flicking out, going right under where we just left off. So we went from the 1 guard to now the half guard. We went from the 1.5 to the 1, now we're on the half guard. And we closed the lever once already, now we close the lever twice. Passing the line and flicking out right where we just left off. And as you guys can see, that middle line is now fading out. Now we close the lever for our 3rd time, and same thing, passing the line and flicking out, going right under where we just left off. Now we close the lever our 4th time, passing the line and flicking out, going right under where we just left off. And once you're at the half guard, we're not going too high with it. We're just barely passing that line and flicking out. But you still have to pass the line. And now right here, we have our trimmers, and we're gonna use the corner of the blade as I circled right there to create an arc. As you can see, I kind of created a yellow arc. We're gonna create a shape with the corner of the blade. We're creating a nice little hook. And keeping it natural, but keeping it sharp. There's no need to push it back. Just keeping it natural, but keeping it sharp. And use that corner of the blade to your advantage. As you guys can see, just take your time with it, be very calm, and just create a nice curved hook. Keeping it natural, but still nice and sharp. Just brush any hairs out the way, make sure you have a clean canvas. And use that corner of the blade. The corner of the blade, pretend it's like a pencil and you're just kind of like sketching that in. That's pretty much what you want to do. And go over it multiple times as well, so you can make sure that you get it nice and sharp. And now we're just kind of tapping that side edge as well, just so we're keeping it very natural, but it's still giving it a nice, sharp, clean look. It's nothing crazy, but it's just making everything, it makes that fade pop more. It just makes everything look cleaner. And now right here, I didn't show myself fading out that first guideline, but if you need the instructions for that, I did show it on the side of the head earlier. When I was doing the side of the head, you could rewind to that. But I'm pretty much going to show you guys in a more sped up version how to fade out the back. And now right here, we have our 1.5 guard. The lever is closed, and we're taking out that middle line. And now we have the 1 guard open, and same thing, from the 1.5 guard closed, we go to the 1 guard open, and we're fading it out. Now we have the 1 guard in the middle. So from the 1 guard open, we go to the 1 guard in the middle. And now we have the 1 guard close. From the 1 guard in the middle, we go to the 1 guard close. So we're pretty much just going down. And now we have the half guard, and we're closing it little by little, notch by notch, and then just fading out. We start open, and then we're closing the lever little by little, about 4 or 5 times. Making sure to pass that line and flick out, pass that line and flick out. And now we're just fading out that line. And when fading, making sure to hold the blade flat, and then just passing the line and flicking out. That's what the motion that we were doing right there. And now right here, you can kind of just play with the lever, and once the fade is done, pretty much, now we're going to go in and we're going to detail the fade. So as you guys can see, I have my half guard attached, and my fade process is done now on the side and in the back. Now I'm going to go in and we're detailing the fade, kind of getting any dark spots that we see in the fade, any little lines. And like right here, we have our thinning shears, and we have the taper barber comb, and using the end of that taper comb, we're going into any dark spot that we see. You go in with the end of that comb, and then you chop away at it, just at the tips of the hair with the thinning shears, making sure to close the thinning shear all the way, because if not, it will pull. And then you just hit the tips of any dark spots that you see, as I'm doing right here, and that'll eliminate any dark spots. Making sure to just hit the tips, because if you cut too much, it'll leave like holes and patches. You're just hitting the tips, and this is going to allow for a blurrier fade effect. It's going to get out any dark spots that we see, and that's pretty much what it's going to do. And now right here, we are wetting the hair. You want to make sure to really wet the hair, because we're about to do scissor work on top. So making sure to get it wet all nice and all around the top of the hair. Make sure you get every spot nice and wet. Right here, I'm going to use that end of the comb that I was pointing at right now to part the hair. Use the end to create like a lines in the hair to part it. So I'm gonna start at one end, and I'm gonna part it. I'm gonna part the front of the hair. So right there, that yellow line that you guys see, that is pretty much where I'm parting the hair, because I want to part the front of the hair down, because I want to leave that longer than the back. So we don't want to cut that yet. So we're creating a part to separate that, where that yellow line is. So we're gonna go from one end to the other. And now right here, using the end of the comb, go straight across, hold the hairs on top, hold them up, and then comb everything under the part that you created down. So everything under the part we comb down, and everything else above the part we hold up, as I did right there. And that's how we separate like the front from the back. And now right here, we're going to cut the back. You're going to pull. So you're going to use the comb. You're going to pull. You want to really hold it tight. And then we're going to, so you hold it with your fingers, hold it tight, and we're going to cut off about 1 inch. And as you guys can see, I'm cutting right there. Right there. Bam. So that yellow line, that's going to be our guideline. So as you can see, I pulled up on this, moving more towards the side that we hadn't cut yet, but the side that we did cut, we have it right there as our guideline. And we're going to cut the hairs that are long to that same length. So that's our guideline. As you guys can see, our guideline right there where I'm pointing at, that is our guideline, that from that first initial cut that we did. Now we're matching that up, and now we're going more to the side again, and same thing, connecting it to the guideline, pulling the hair straight up, holding it tight as well. Bam. And right here, now we're pulling back, and we're grabbing more hair from the back, and our guideline is now in the front of the hairs that we just grabbed. So we grabbed more hairs from the back, and the guideline is in the front. Those hairs right there, that's the guideline. As you can see, I pulled the comb down, and the guideline was exposed, but that's our guideline. Now you're matching that up, and we're going back. So this is called the traveling guideline. And right here, just matching everything up, pulling it back, and now going to the side, matching the side up. Now we're pulling again. We're grabbing more hairs from the back that aren't cut yet, and we're matching it up to the hairs that we did cut. And the guideline, you'll be able to see it in front of the hairs that you just grabbed. And now we're matching up the side. We're going to the other side, making sure that it's even on the other side as well. And now we're pulling back again and grabbing more hairs from the back. And then once we do that, now we move to the side. And it's the same thing. Now we are grabbing more hairs from the back again and matching it up with the hairs in front of those hairs. So you'll see the guideline in front of the hairs you just grabbed. You just gotta kind of pull the comb down, and you'll be able to see the guideline right there. And that's called the traveling guideline. And now right here, same thing. Just matching it all up. And now right here, we're kind of just go all around your work that you just did, and just kind of cross-check it and make sure that it's all even. As you guys can see, I'm kind of just repeating it again, just making sure that everything is all nice and even, because you will have some hairs that aren't cut. So you kind of just got to go over it one more time. And now right here on the side, as you can see, I grabbed the hair and I pulled it straight out towards the side, and I have my fingers going straight up on that are under, they're on the side of his head. And that yellow line that you see right there, we're hold, it's because I want everything to go straight up. So you're gonna hold your fingers will be going straight up and down on the side of their head, and that's what we're gonna cut. Everything that hangs off of the fingers once they're being held in that like straight up and down position. So as you can see, everything that hangs off is what we cut, and this is gonna blend the side into the top of the hair. Right there. As you can see, I'm doing that all the way, and then and all the way till you get to the back. Once you get to the back, you stop. And now we're bringing up the front, and we're gonna cut off about 1 inch from the front as well. But the front is longer, as you guys can see, than the back, and that's what we want. We want the front to be longer than the back. That way it's easier to style and it just looks overall better. Alright, as you guys can see right there, I cut 1 inch off of the front, and we started right there on that side, and then we just matched everything up, moving towards the other side with using the guideline from the first initial side that we cut, as I explained earlier. And then you just match it all up like that. And I'm kind of just cross-checking right here, just making sure that everything is really nice and even. Alright, and now right here we are drying up all the hairs. Just after we cut it and wet it, we're drying it up. And right, you just kind of want to get it nice and dry, and then we're going to go in and we're going to add texture to the tips of the hair using like our thinning shears. You can just kind of chop into the tips, and that's gonna give it like some texture, just so the hair isn't like super straight, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of like unevenness, a little bit of that grit, like, you know, just so I said, like, it's not like super straight and like super perfect. You know, we want a little bit of that texture in there, and you can do that by just hitting the tips with the thinning shears. And now right here we're gonna go in with our razor, and we're going to razor up all the edges that we created with our trimmers, and making sure now we're pulling the skin, and then you're laying the blade flat, kind of at a slight angle. You don't want to lay the blade straight down, but at a slight angle and flat. Pull the skin with one hand, and then just go straight to the lines with the other, and go pull the razor to the lines just to give those lines that extra crispness and make them nice and sharp, and so there's no stubble around them. And right here we're going in with some sea salt spray. This is by Strand the brand. So what this sea salt spray is gonna do is kind of give it this is how we're gonna style the hair. We're gonna style it with like a matte dry finish, like a natural look. So the sea salt spray is gonna give it like some volume and some hold and some texture in the hair, and it's gonna leave it matte as well. So you want to put this on before you blow dry it. You want to kind of wet the head slightly with the sea salt spray all around, and then we're going to dry it up. We have the blow dryer on hot air, and we have like a vent brush or a round brush, and we are drying up the hair in the back. We want to lay those hairs down. As you guys can see, I'm just laying them down. I don't really want to create like volume in the back, but in the front is where I'm going to create that volume. But in the back, make sure we start in the back, and then we're going to work our way towards the front. So we're starting in the back, laying the back all down, because with a comb over, we want the back to be laid down, and we're blow drying it in the direction that it goes. Alright, as you guys can see right there. And now we are moving towards the front, as you guys can see right here. And in the front, you want to kind of twist those hairs, and then you want to pull outwards towards you, and then have like some tension on it. Don't pull too hard, you know, you don't want to hurt them, and that's going to create volume in the hair. And especially with the sea salt spray, it's going to really give it like some nice volume once it dries up. And we have it on hot air right here, as you guys can see. Pretty much like the way I'm doing it is like exactly how you can do it as well, and this is going to give you that volume in your client's hair. And we want it to be higher in the front and look lower in the back. It just looks overall more cleaner and better. So we want the hairs in the front to have to be higher in volume than the back. The back we kind of just want to lay down. So right there in the front. And I'm kind of just using my fingers right here to go through it as well. Once you kind of get like that shape that you want with the brush, you can go through it with your fingers, and this will kind of like help and get the desired shape a little bit easier as well. And right here we grab a little bit of, this is the Strand clay. So this is clay. You get like, this is the one that I'm using is by Strand the brand. And you could put that clay, you rub that clay in your hands, rub it all over your hands, nice, disperse it evenly, and then just get it all in the hair, get it in the roots, disperse it evenly throughout the head. In the front, you can kind of like get it in there the way I'm doing it, and in the back, you kind of want the back to like lay down more, as just how I'm doing it right there. And then put some on the sides right there as well. As you can see, I'm getting a little bit more just to kind of lay down those hairs right there on the sides. And then we're adding a little bit more to the top anywhere where I see it needs. Just kind of like go with your eye, see where it may need a little bit more, a little less. Like kind of just like this type of style is cool because you can style it with your hands because it's more like a natural look. And right here on the sides, we're kind of combing those hairs down. Getting all those hairs nice and laid down. We put a little bit of product. See all those hairs that we left long? See how nice it's looking now? That's why we leave it long instead of going like with a 1 or a 2, because it just looks way better like this. And right here, once you lay those down with once you lay those long hairs down with a little bit of product, go back over it with the clipper over comb, and because you're gonna see little hairs hanging over the sides. And so you want to make sure any hairs that hang over that comb, same motion, go straight up with the comb, keep that squared shape, and any hairs that hang over the comb, just cut. That way you get any little flyaways, and you make sure that everything is nice and precise. And now right here, we're going to add enhancements. And right here, this is a semi-permanent Kiss Express. This is with the air gun machine, and we're lightly spraying it onto the lineup. Lightly, kind of from a distance, but not like too far away, and you just lightly spray until you get like a natural look, but it's still like darkened a little bit, and it just looks clean. And he didn't need it, like it wasn't necessary, but this just gives the cut like an overall like just like a damn. And the cut was already clean, but it's just like that added effect. It's not like you needed it. I made sure the edges were dark and crisp before I applied it. And right here, I put a little bit of talc on the top of my hand with the glove on, and I'm rubbing the talc on the top of my hand. I'm rubbing the trimmer on the talc while the trimmer is on, and you just want like the sprinkles of talc. You don't want a lot of talc. While the trimmer is on, you rub the trimmer on the talc, and you hit the edges with the trimmer that you just tapped on the talc, and it's gonna give like some like nice little white lines, like nice, and it's gonna make the cut like look even cleaner, for videos. This is your work when you're presenting it, and you want it to look as best as possible for your client and for social media. And now right here, we're adding some hairspray on the top of the hair, just to kind of lock it into place and lock the style into place. And now right here, I just unhooked the cape, and right here I'm dusting off any excess neck hairs and hairs on his face. And now right here I have the straight razor, and I'm applying very light pressure on the neck, not going too hard with this so I don't burn his neck, and just razoring off any of those excess neck hairs right there, just so the cut could come out cleaner. And this is the before, and now this is the after. As you guys can see, the bro is looking clean. We got that modern comb over, we got a low drop fade, we did some scissors work on top, we got that flow, we got that matte textured flowy look. And that's the cut, guys. I appreciate you guys. Make sure to like, drop a comment, and subscribe. I'm out.